We're now getting you a CNN News 18 mega exclusive as we have managed to access the probe details where we're talking about this group that was mainly radicalized and wanted to carry out large-scale attacks in the country. The key mastermind, Maulvi Irfan, was the main person who had gone on to radicalize all of these doctors who are in the police custody now, and investigative agencies are looking at them. And all of this happened during his hospital tenure, we are told. In fact, they were told about Ghazwa-e-Hind and anti-Hindu sentiments across the country. They decided to have open sleeper cells in terms of more associates. Right now, the arrested doctors, the people, are the core group who wanted to spread these activities all across the country. They were going very systematically, and they knew the seat of power is Delhi, and they were doing whatever they were doing is not going to be helping, if at all the attack did not really happen in Delhi. Crucial details have also emerged regarding the lady doctor, Dr. Shaheen Shahid, in this particular case. But let's get a sense of this fresh detail that is exclusively with CNN News 18 with my colleague Anand Narsimhan, who's now joining us from the newsroom. Anand?
Well, morning Grihan, morning to our viewers. More details that now pour in, and some of these doctors who have now been arrested are also singing in custody. They are revealing all the details. It emerges that this was a core group of doctors who had been radicalized and developed by Maulvi Irfan, who seems central to this entire plot. He's the one who was a paramedic at the Government Medical College in Srinagar, and from there he came into contact with these people as students, as medical students. Irfan then moved to become a Maulvi at the Naugam Mosque, but he continued to stay in touch with all of these doctors, and who went on to finish their studies, went on to practice at the Anantnag Medical College, and some of them moved out of Jammu and Kashmir and were at Al Falah University. The owner of Al Falah himself has a dubious background. That's a different story. Some moved to Lucknow and to some other regions. But what happened is they continued to stay in touch with this Irfan, and he decided that these doctors and these people who are indoctrinated, radicalized, and he continued to feed them with vicious vitriolic material. He was also in touch with handlers who are operating out of Nangarhar, and those channels of communication opened up soon as the Taliban took over in 2021 in Afghanistan. This is the backgrounder. So then what did Irfan then do? He then said that it's time to go and teach people, the Hindus, a lesson. That was the kind of brainwashing that was being done. Go ahead and replicate what was effected between 2001 to 2011, where a lot of these sticky bombs, car bombs were used. The Oklahoma car bomb in the 90s, that is the kind of modus operandi that was being planned by Irfan via these doctors who could live in plain sight, who could hide in plain sight, continue to engage and do their profession, which is saving lives and perhaps helping people, while planning the death and destruction of thousands of innocents. They were planning a series of car bombs. Now the second car, this Brezza car, now comes to light, where Shaheen had another car. One of this doctor who was their accomplice, who was part of this entire core group of plotters, these doctors, these jihadi doctors. She was based in Lucknow. In this Brezza car, explosives have been recovered. That means there was another sticky bomb and a car bomb that was being planned, and perhaps Shaheen would have been the one driving that car or planting that car somewhere. Had things gone according to plan of these jihadi doctors, and had the Jammu and Kashmir police along with the Haryana police not stumbled upon that huge cache of explosive material that had been stockpiled in those villages around the Al Falah University in Faridabad. But the other part is that there were two other doctors, and two of these doctors, their travel had been facilitated to Turkey. Okay. They have traveled to Turkey in 23-24. They also got huge amounts of some money which has been sent via digital transfers that have been made into the accounts of these doctors. But they have gone to Turkey to meet a handler. And it was this handler who facilitated their travel, stay and logistics and movement around Turkey. Who all they have met in Turkey and what was the instruction given to them has not yet been divulged, but they did travel. Now, did this handler travel from, say, a Nangarhar province where the Jaish has its operations, or did that handler travel from Pakistan itself? We don't have the confirmation of the name and identity of this handler yet, but that's a matter of time that we will get those details. But they did travel, and then they came back with certain instructions. Those instructions were perhaps carried out. And this group of doctors, including Adil, Musammil, Umar Nabi, Shaheen, and one or two other doctors, there are two lady doctors too in Jammu and Kashmir who are currently being questioned. They were forming the core group of sleeper cells who were going to go and indoctrinate and radicalize and create more sleeper cells across the country. So this was a long-term plan. And remember, Irfan has been in touch with the likes of Muzammil, Adil and all, not 2 or 3 years, for the last 6 to 7 years. Irfan was in Government Medical College, Srinagar, pre-COVID times in 2018, 2019. So since then, he's been in touch with all of them. So this is how radical and diabolical this whole plot was. And Irfan was getting instructions via VoIP or Voice over Internet Protocol and platforms like Telegram, encrypted platforms like Telegram and Threema from his handler based in Nangarhar in Afghanistan, and also those people having Jaish connections. So that's the Jaish link, that's the Pak-based terror link, there is the Turkey link, and now these are more doctors who are now coming under the ambit, all who have been operating in Jammu and Kashmir, but some of them have been studying elsewhere too. We'll get to those details in a bit, but slowly and gradually we are getting to see how Irfan was organizing and forming a team of radicalized, intelligent, white-collar terrorists or students who could be turned into terrorists, and he was grooming them, regularly feeding them vitriolic material and feeding on this entire anti-Hindu sentiment to ask them to go and perform these kind of acts across the length and breadth of the country. And they knew they had to do something around Delhi, because Delhi was the political capital. So doing sticky bomb or car bombs all around the country was not priority for them. They wanted to create a series of car bombs attacks and all in and around Delhi NCR.
This was a huge planning. Anand, thank you so much for breaking it all down for us. So this has a Turkey connection. This also has a Doha connection, we are told, because there were foreign remittances that all of these doctors, these two particularly, Adil and Muzammil, who traveled to Turkey, they possibly got back as they returned to the country.